panel and everyone can introduce themselves. So hi, my name is Jackie O'Neill. I am the founder and CEO of Blockchain Art Collective. We use blockchain and IoT to secure physical art assets and track authenticity and provenance. And it's currently deployed, artists are using it. Some of them are here in the room, as well as a gallery. And I'm an artist myself, and I come from working in building museums in and around New York City in my previous life before tech. And now passing to Fanny.
Thank you. So I'm Fanny, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of SnarkArt. So when Jackie is working on physical artworks, we are working on a digital art project. And our first project with SnarkArt is with a video artist called Yves Sussman, who is doing a first digital art project, and we just launched last week.
Thank you so much. My name is Nano Burks, and I'm originally from Argentina. I started spray painting banks and using graffiti as activism to fight the 2002 and 2008 crisis when basically the banks closed down overnight and stole all of my family's savings and thousands of other families. So I hope that doesn't happen in the States, very, very much could. That's why I'm obsessed with decentralization. I register all my pieces of work on the blockchain using the Blockchain Art Collective, and I really, really love it. After working and advising several art companies on the blockchain, this has been some of the best, most useful tools that I have found. Other than that, I've been auctioning some pieces. So last week I was in DC and we auctioned a piece to raise funds for the Hawk Foundation. So I try to focus on connecting as many blockchain projects to nonprofit projects and track the transparency of where the funds go, connecting fiat and crypto so that we can reach mass adoption. So there's a couple fashion lines you can get access to on my website, and fine art as well as street art. If you want to talk more after, of course I can give you the website. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elena Zavelev. I am a contributor for Forbes, writing about the intersection of art and technology. I'm also the founder of New Art Academy, which is conferences, education, panel discussions, anything about high tech and the art market. So we are trying to educate the art market about new technologies, including blockchain, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and so on. And the most exciting project for us right now is the new Crypto and Digital Art Fair that we are launching spring 2019. It's going to be in New York during the Freeze Week in New York. So a very exciting project.
Hi, I'm Judy Mam. I am the co-founder of DADA.nyc, which is a social network where people speak to each other through drawings. They make a drawing in our platform with a very simple tool, and anyone, anywhere in the world can respond to you with another drawing, creating stunning visual conversations that are collaborative. And we're taking all these drawings and we're tokenizing them as non-fungible tokens. Don't everybody leave the room yet. And we are helping artists all over the world actually get some money and some validation from their beautiful work.
Thanks. I'm Vlad Ginsberg. I've spent about 10 years in the art market doing everything from artist management, unfortunately with this guy, but more so raising art investment funds and working with blue chip artworks as investment assets, which they really are and they really can be, but that's really not the purpose of what art is supposed to be. I think a lot of people in this room would agree. About 2 years ago, I started getting involved in the blockchain space, exploring where I can get involved, and currently work with BlockParty, which is a digital ID technology company, hashing your fingerprints and faces in a non-terrifying way onto the blockchain, and using that to tie your biometrics unhackable and makes KYC and AML very easy. But we attach that into digital assets, which today means concerts, sports tickets, but tomorrow means your ownership papers for a piece of art, maybe your creation license for a piece of art. And the main area that I'm focusing on using that technology on is helping artists have more control over their work and make more money off their work. Instead of losing revenue to StubHub, musicians should be getting all of that upside over face value. And the same way, artists should continue to get paid for their artwork or rather many years after it leaves their studio.
Hey, what's up? Ryan Keeley, an artist. I got involved with this because I take existing technology and augment it in ways that most people don't think about. I look at existing processes and figure out ways to make them better. It's kind of the same way a skateboarder looks at a set of stairs. It's something that everybody uses, but you figure out a way to use it in a different way and add a little bit of style to it, and just make it better. So.
All right. So, 1, 2, no. Great. So before we go totally digital, I think to start in a chronological order. With the traditional art pieces, and I mean not traditional but physical artworks. Vlad and Elena, maybe you probably have been the ones who spend the most time in the art market. And if you have like a few examples that you can give tonight of use cases that have been used in the art market using blockchain, and we're all trying to make a better art market. So. If you can tell us about things that excite you in this space.
So one of the exciting new projects that came out recently in the more traditional art market is, of course, the recent sale, Christie's sale that has been recorded on blockchain with the help of the new startup called Artery. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this. So the founder of the Artery is also the chairman of TFAF. And it's a fascinating thing because it really shows how more traditional art market begins to really understand the technology and the value of the technology. And if you think about it, both TFAF and Christie's are European old-fashioned institutions, and the fact that they're using this technology in their daily practice is fascinating, and I think it's showing definitely hopefully the approach of somewhat closer, bigger adoption of the technology by the market. So I think that's one of the projects that I'm really excited about right now.
It's an interesting question, and from the opposite side of Elena's experience, outside of the auction house, or even TFAF, which is a huge brand and a huge art fair brand, as a private dealer and dealing with blue chip artworks that would end up in TFAF or Christie's, I always kind of talk about it as nobody owns a Picasso, and except for very few people, individuals don't own Picassos or Warhols or Basquiat's. ABC LLC in the Caymans owns a majority of these blue chip artworks, and most sales are to XYZ LLC in Cyprus. So the art dealer doesn't really spend that much time wearing white gloves and doing what you would imagine the deal is. Every transaction ends up being paperwork, and that's about 2.5 years ago where I had the aha moment about smart contracts. Like, the KYC AML thing doesn't get knocked out with smart contracts, and I think that in terms of what blockchain can accomplish with the immutability and the loss of the need for stacks of paperwork when every piece of information that you need to run around and collect from registered agents is located in a QR code and a private key, that's a game changer. I don't think anybody is rushing to buy Monet with Bitcoin, but I do think that there is a seismic shift taking place in the way the transactions get done.
Thanks. I think maybe Jackie, you can maybe add something with the Blockchain Art Collective, which is also solving some of the art market problems.
So we're focusing a little bit more on, again, the physical activity. Hello. Again. So for Blockchain Art Collective, we are, again, working on securing the actual physical asset. And so what the sort of origination of value in the art market is art itself and the artists themselves. Without that circulating, there would actually be no financial value circulating, or other kinds of value circulating. And thus, why we've been focusing primarily on the physical art asset is because of that. So if you can actually secure that object's authenticity and provenance and actually tie that into things such as collections management, or it's been sold and it has to go from the artist to the collector. It's on loan from a museum to another museum. It's just in transportation to a gallery for a show for an artist, like such as here in Miami this week. And so for all of these reasons, to actually be able to say, this object, this art object, and its identity, its value, can actually be, again, uniquely secured and stay with it over the course of its life. And then, to Vlad's point, as a really great administrative tool for tracking purposes and automating transactions, is quite valuable and actually also unprecedented. There have been tagging solutions in the past. There have been record-keeping solutions in the past, whether they are paper or Collectrium, for example, where some of the people on this panel have worked. And so it is very exciting because it's not just these new administrative tools, but they're actually very accessible. And so some people like to say, and I said this earlier today on a different panel, we're sort of at the phase of the internet, in 1994 now with blockchain. So it's and someone else on that panel made a point of ultimately we won't be talking about it, in a few years because it's still relatively nascent. Yes, that person was this person. And so it's again, there's a sort of a wide range of very exciting, administrative and value-based tools, and then also art-based tools, which we'll talk more about.
Talk about that may be interesting from the artist's point of view, like what's your point of view on blockchain? Is it totally not, because the size thing, I know it's way more important in your work, but maybe Ryan, you want to start?
No, I think it's an amazing asset to have. I think that as far as authenticating the artwork, the different process that we've talked about, as far as encrypting signatures into it and keeping it on a level of where you can't forge an artwork. I think that's one of the most amazing assets to it. Also, the different transaction processes. It's a seamless way of transacting the different purchases. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, there's a few angles. I think for sure the security. Is this working? For sure the security aspect of it. I think since the beginning of the internet, we've been trying to reduce the amount of duplication and exploitation of the artists, and so everybody's really stoked about being able to minimize. I don't know if it's completely eliminated, but that's what got me interested in it to begin with. Other than that, it is another layer of value added onto the piece. If you can use some really expensive materials or beautiful materials on your work, and on top of that you have a tech layer, it's just another dimension of the work, and so that's also interesting. As far as
inserting the different codes as a different layer of the more technical process, and start inserting different there's one piece over here that actually has
so one of the pieces over here I actually inserted as one of the print layers. So the process of this artwork is it's an analog and digital method. So I augmented these printers in a way where you can paint on the canvas, then insert different printed matter on top of it. So one of the subject matters that I inserted was actually the ERC 721 code. So it's like inserting different layers of technology, utilizing different technology to make the artwork, and then inserting different intellectual layers increases the value of it in many different ways.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's also really a really interesting point, because since the beginning of social media, we have seen the meta super extension of the art. Before artists were painting in their ateliers somebody living it. Now we get to see a time lapse of the video. We get to see the actual work being shown. We get to see, a fashion line come out of a picture of the work. We get to see the rendering, like the 11 limited prints that you can buy from the work. And so all of these layers have type components and ways to protect them and ways to market them. So the market is so expensive and there's so many jobs coming out of it. And so the people that don't have, that are not caught, or it hasn't caught their attention yet, it just hasn't reached their field, but it will. So this is really important. And that's why I'm so passionate about it as well, to use it as a decentralization, like decentral art thing, to move into the sole purpose of what this technology is. Because if there was no branding and no logos and no music and no slogans, the technology, even though it's creative and code is extremely creative, it really wouldn't reach all those places. That's why Nike uses hip hop to reach their cultures, so that's what we're doing. And I feel like graffiti art turned to fine art with a tech layer is an amazing, amazing intersection to be within. So if you're here, you're curious at all, I think that you're already ahead of the curve and forming in education.
Congratulations!
Yeah, congratulations, thank you for me.
Thank you. So now, we've talked a bit about sort of the both administrative sides of it, the traditional sides of it, as well as the physical art side of it. So I'm interested to hear a little bit more from a couple of our panelists about the digital art side of it. So I'm going to turn the table over to both Fanny and to Julie.
Well, what we're doing is very unique because we started DADA 4 years ago as a social network, as I said, where artists can, from all over the world, they don't know each other, they don't speak each other's language, but they are drawing, having visual conversations together. And we then, like about a year and a half ago, heard about blockchain. We had been trying to figure out ways to monetize this content because the fact is this, like the internet, the information age of the internet, which is what we have now, this digital content is extremely valuable, and the last people who make any money from it are the ones who create it. Whether that's you posting on Facebook, or whether it's our artists creating beautiful, really genuine drawings. It was impossible to do anything about it because digital art was infinitely reproducible. But blockchain allows for the creation of unique digital assets where you can, actually make it into a digital object that you can transact. And that is like a complete game changer for artists. So for us, that was like what we decided to do. We launched a collection on Halloween of last year called Creeps and Weirdos, which I have some examples of here. Just to give you an example of something that is really concrete. This is, just pass them around. So for instance, it's a collection of creepy and weird drawings, but they are tokenized, and we did editions of them, and the artists, we sold them. And so now, for the first time, an artist in Mexico all of a sudden found that he had a collector in Boston. And for the first time, somebody who is a completely untrained artist in Venezuela was able to make $60 from some drawings that she sold, which she can actually live off for a month in that country. So there are many. What is exciting about this is that for artists, this is a completely new territory where it's direct, it's peer-to-peer. You don't need the curator, you don't need the galleries, you don't need the museum, you don't need any of those things. You can actually find an audience, make more art. So please take a picture of that because that's super cool. And the smart contracts that come associated with this also allow you to distribute the payments in a way that you could like share ownership. For instance, in our conversations, The artist gets, like, you know, the artist who made the drawing gets the bulk, but anyone who participates in that conversation also gets a percentage. And if there's a secondary market, the artist will always get a royalty, which is not something that happens in the real art world. And so it's a completely new game, and it completely opens a new digital art market that can involve millions of people, that doesn't have to be exclusive and completely unreachable. And so what I would say is that every artist, whether you deal with music or whether you do visual art or you're a photographer, you need to get the basics of the blockchain, because it's really going to impact your work and your life.
Me? Okay. What digital art? So SnarkArt, we took an approach of inviting established artists who already, have a market in the traditional art world and want to experiment with technology. I mean, we're all trying to, with Judy and other companies to build a new digital art market. I mean, who owns a digital art collection in the room? So we're like 4 people, 5 people. Okay, if you add that to any other art fair, you will have no arms up. Like, there is literally one booth in Art Basel, like the main fair, with digital art. And it's not even digital art, it's a video artist. So for the first time ever with blockchain, you can actually have limited edition artworks, digital artworks. And a lot of artists want to experiment with technology. And we reached out to Eve Sussman, who is a video artist, and she premiered one of her videos at the Whitney Biennial in 2004, I believe. She sold her work to MoMA, the Whitney, but she was a little sad that all her videos were in the museum archives and nobody can really see them. If the MoMA decides it's not on view, well, it's not on view and nobody can see it. So she actually took one of her videos, which is based on Las Meninas by Velázquez, and is now, as she says, atomizing it and splitting it into 2,000 little pieces of digital art. And now you or me or anybody can own a little piece of that video for a very reasonable entry price point, especially if you pay in Ether or cryptocurrency, because right now it is very, 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 very low. But it's not fractional ownership, because a lot of people have been asking, okay, so do I just own a piece of something bigger? No, you really own like a little, like 20 by 20 pixel digital art, almost a little abstract video of like 10-minute video with a full soundtrack, but it's still a little abstract. So you can lend your piece to the community and to organize viewing of the video. And now you have the power. Really, the artist is giving the collectors the power to make this artwork live and be seen anywhere, really. Like, if you own a piece of it, you can actually request everybody to view the piece. And it's a new type of art. I mean, this is, we're really trying to get the digital market up, and with CADAF next year, like a new digital art fair. The goal is really that, like, in 2018, it's really sad that auction houses like Christie's don't have a digital art department. I mean, we've been calling contemporary art the same thing for the past 50 years. And
yeah. So, I mean, I was one of those artists who had resistance to digital art, and it hurts to say it now, and I'm putting myself on the spot. I'm sorry, but it's fine. I really didn't understand technology, didn't care for it, didn't want it. I lived, back for 10 years, didn't have a computer or a phone. So the reason that I'm sitting here today is because it makes a lot of sense actually to be within the space and help change it from within so that it can incorporate all of it. So the most powerful quote that I've ever heard that helped me become a fan of digital art is, millennials can't afford a house, so how are they going to afford a painting, and where are they going to put it? And that just put everything in perspective for me. So even if you can't afford a house, we live in a life in an age where everybody's a nomad, or a lot of people are nomads. And so that's what sparked the idea to transfer my paintings to the fashion collection, because then you can have a piece of art that you wear and that you share with people. So it'll always be beautiful to have fine art paintings, and it'll always be beautiful to have all these different ideas. But we really are in that space where the art can be translated to all these different mediums. And I think that owning a little pixel of something, or even like owning a little piece of the Monet or the Picasso that is happening, it's a beautiful opportunity for artists that are smaller, or for any type of person to own a piece of, or to feel like they're a part of the market, to have a say, like I said, give back the power to the people to be able to be a part of the conversation. So it's not an elitist thing anymore, although it has that component.
So I'm going to direct the next question to Vlad, and anyone else can jump in. But on the point of digital art assets, I wanted to understand from you a little bit what, as far as managing digital assets on the blockchain, how that experience has been for you, and two, sort of how you see its impact on artists, and what kind of elements of how you're identifying people that have you, how you see that playing out today.
Specifically with digital art?
Not necessarily, just again digital assets, because you're doing ticketing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
How does that then translate into the art world potentially?
So I think the number one thing with digital assets is it's not even so much about the asset, but about the individual's ownership of the asset, and kind of pulling back the curtain on what that is. First of all, it's a digital way to be able to say without any doubt that this belongs to me and nobody else, and I can prove it, and nobody can take that away from me. We can get super like crypto anarchist and be like, no government, no police force can take away this from me, but actually I think about it more in terms of in black and white about getting hacked, right? I think that I have a right to my own data. I have a right to my own assets. I shouldn't have that penetrated or broken into or stolen, just the same way that you wouldn't want any of that assets in your home to be taken away or stolen. But I think you can actually cross over into, we're here talking about art. This is almost like art imitating life. What does it mean to the asset that your identity is now a part of it? And that's actually what I found the most interesting when I first met SnarkArt. When I saw you guys in Brooklyn, one of the things that jumped out from meeting Eve Sussman and wondering why would she want to do this to her own art? Why would she take a piece of art that is owned by every major, not every, but owned by the major modern art museums and a winner of a major Biennale award? Why would she want to break it up and give pieces of art to people digitally? Well, first of all, it's interesting that she, no matter, even if her art is broken up into hundreds of pieces, she can at any given point know exactly where her art is. And she can recall all the pieces back to herself, back to her hypothetically. And now, if there's a real connection.
No, she can't.
Well, hypothetically, couldn't she hypothetically, if everybody consented in the sale? Right. So
it's just lending actually. So it's just lending. So you can agree to lend your piece for ever and ever to the community, or to decide every time if you want to lend it or not.
But the possibility is there.
Securing attribution. What? Secures the attribution of the actual object back to her, no matter what, or who owns it. Yeah.
But take that and put it up next to Warhol. Like he made 8 Marilyns, and now 8 people own a Marilyn in one particular size, and 16 people own a Marilyn in a different size. How difficult would it be if you wanted to do an exhibit of Marilyns to go and call everybody and coerce them into bringing it back? We've now opened up a new possibility of being able to get everybody, and it's not Big Brother about tying digital ID to your asset. It's more so about, I guess we'll get crypto nerdy again, but ERC 721 is a non-fungible contract, which means that a non-fungible asset means that it's different than any other asset, that it's unique in every way. People are unique in every way. Artwork is unique in any way. So making that connection, I think, is really interesting.
Can I ask
about the use of them. What I find really fun is the possibility that we won't get, I have an atom, I'm really proud of it, and that we won't get everyone to do this, so whatever happens, it's going to be a different work of art. So I'm actually more excited to see how it evolves, whether it's going to happen or not going to happen, and the final product, if anything, will be something different. And I think that's the beauty of Eve allowing to lose control of her own work, to give it to the people who are participating in this. I was thinking also that maybe instead of lending it so that it can be displayed in some place, it could happen on anyone's computer, right? It could happen in your house. So that's the other, like, those are the things that I find really exciting about it.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say that it's very interesting to observe how blockchain and new technology is now giving to the artists an opportunity for new kinds of conceptual art. And we haven't spoken, for example, I really like the project by Kevin Ablash, I'm a Coin, and have you heard about this project? Some people I know have heard about this project, but the others may not. So Kevin has tokenized his DNA, and it's a very interesting, I think it's a very interesting perspective on what belongs to whom, and if a person can sell a part of his own identity, and so on. So I think that it's fascinating to observe finally a very new take on the conceptual art, where the concept is clear and it's brand new, and I think it's very much 21st century. It's what this is what needs to be happening today, actually. So it's wonderful.
On this very positive note, I think we're going to wrap up with a last question, opening to all the panelists on, if you've been to blockchain conferences, we all talk about mainstream adoption and how we can get blockchain everywhere and so on. I'm going to shorten restrict this question to maybe what excites you the most in the, the art and blockchain connection, and what you see, what's the next big thing going to come?
So maybe I'll start and we can just go down the line. So the next, lots of things to answer there, but I think for me, so I'm personally very excited about bridging the gap between the old and the new, and so there are a lot of people out there who are building sort of what I'd call radical new tools that can be very jarring to, say, the traditional art world, for example. And then there are people who are the traditional art world, and they don't know anything about those new tools. And so I think that, a lot of you, at least people who are less, more, I'd say maybe lightly or potentially superficially familiar with it, there's a lot of, it's tied up in a lot of things around hype and scary things and risk and, the black market, for example. And so I'm very excited about, as the hype cycle is kind of coming to a lull, where now we can actually focus on building real value, real companies, things that actually, there's a reason for there to be blockchain, not just we can do this without blockchain and we're using it as a marketing ploy. So that's what I'm very excited about. And so for us, my personal goal for our company and for everyone here on this panel and everyone else who's sort of working to actually help, again, have this technology mainstream adoption, just like the internet, where to the point where you're not even talking about it anymore. I'm very excited for people to really gain and see that value, and it's a long road. It's not tomorrow, but you do need the radical tools available. People need to be building them. People need to be helping other people get educated and start using those tools, and not doing it in, again, such a sort of scary and jarring way, and understand we don't need to throw out the past to embrace the new, but we can walk together into the new together. So that's sort of what I'm excited about.
Thank you. I love that phrase, tokenize everything or put everything on the blockchain. I like it because I like the tech. You know, we're all nerds, we're excited about it, but not everything needs to be on the blockchain, not everything needs to be tokenized. And we're starting to realize that. And not everything needs to be on the internet. I think everybody can agree with that. And so it's a really exciting time to see which projects really can benefit from this technology, and like you said, which projects are just riding the marketing wave, because we can start to see through that pretty easily. As an artist, as I mentioned before, the being able to track authenticity and to reduce the duplication of the works is really interesting to me, as well as the microtransactions that can help support artists from the community in a way that Patreon does this, for example. So imagine a mural that has a QR code and that you can scan and it takes you to an app and it says, if you enjoyed this, donate something to the artist. And so then the artist goes home, opens the app, and they have $400 from random 400 people that will buy and sell the work. So in that way, we can start supporting artists to make a living without putting pressure on monetizing their work and maybe branding or taking the soul or manipulating the creativity within it. So I'm really interested in helping build those systems, advocating with those systems with my art, and again, ask the questions and continue to co-educate one another, because now is where we make the mistakes. Bitcoin, or this technology is 10 years old. It's a 10-year-old child. This is where we make the mistakes and we go crazy and we say sorry and we, help each other accountable for this stuff. So, yeah, again, if you're here, I really appreciate your interest, and yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, I think I agree with both Manu and Dick, but I'm also interested in seeing new business models. So it's curious to see what else is going to come up to the market. So far we can, make some sort of segments on how blockchain is used today, and these are very obvious to us, I guess, segments. So it's very interesting to see what else comes up, because now after even last year there has been so much hype around tokenization and fractional ownership, and now this is almost a swear word with some people. So I don't know. It's interesting to see what's going to be the next big thing in the industry, and what's coming up.
I'm really excited about the fact that blockchain allows us to think of completely new models. So it's such a pain in the ass, the technology really truly for the coders to do, that it doesn't make any sense to apply it only to replicate what already exists and doesn't work. What makes sense is to understand that it is very much about open source, that it is very much about collaboration, that it is about decentralization. And so for us, the fact that you're opening the art, let's not even say the art market, but the fact that you are able to bring art to millions of people that don't really have access to it, whether they're making it, whether they're enjoying it, or whether they're collecting it, to create a whole new generation of collectors of art that can actually afford it and enjoy it, to have people from all over the world say, I am an artist and I can be validated and I can make money. That is what really excites me. It's opening that sliver of impossible to reach art world that for some reason no one except very few people can actually grasp, and like open it far wider. And as our Jason Bailey, who is one of our advisors and a good friend, says, 10x in creativity, because it also will lead to an explosion of different ways of making creative digital stuff.
I think the adoption question comes up a lot. I think it's probably the most important question. 1% of the world owns any kind of cryptocurrency. A very small number more than that even know what a blockchain is. So people ask, like, how do you get people to use it? And the answer is always make them use it without realizing they're using it, and see how much they enjoy or how much better the experience is. From BlockParty standpoint, we had that experience 4 miles west of here in Wynwood when we had a music festival at the RC Cola plant and ticketed 4,000 people, and maybe 10% knew what blockchain was, but they were all using smart contracts, the blockchain issued tickets to get in. How does that apply to the art world? Love the idea of a digital art fair. People love art fairs, people go, people enjoy it, and they may not go expecting that they're going to be seeing art that's on a blockchain, but when they go and experience it and have a meaningful experience, hopefully, and then start asking questions, well, why is this different? What's going on here? Why am I having a different experience? I think that's how you drive adoption.
I think that making transactions easy is the best way to, to sell any type of anything. And the fact that this is making purchasing something or making transactions easier is sexy and it's cool. It makes it, more fun for people to purchase things, and it makes it easier. The fact that, I've sold so many pieces just using cryptocurrency, it's more like, buying art, it's a large purchase, but when you buy it with cryptocurrency, it's like you're almost using it's like monopoly money for most people. When they're spending that much on cryptocurrency, they don't feel like they're actually spending they're like cash. It's a whole different feel, and making the transactions into buying art is supposed to be, when you buy art and sell art, it's supposed to be a sexy, cool transaction. And when you buy it through that, it makes it even more intriguing and more sexy and more cool. And that's what I feel like, it gives people a newfound value in spending that. It's like these guys that are buying pieces through cryptocurrency, they just hand it over like it's like, oh, it's fun. It's like fun money. And it's great for artists.
When you sold stuff crypto, I mean, you've used Coinbase, you've used stuff like that. Has it been easy to get paid for payments?
It's so much easier, and making the transaction process easy is such a good.
Like you've lost money on Bitcoin.
Oh, I sold a bunch of pieces when it was at 19 whatever, and then the next day it was down to 16. So $30,000 piece all of a sudden, I didn't cash out on it. So and that's the one thing right now is I think that a lot of people that are holding a lot of crypto should put it into artwork, because art's an appreciating asset. And right now, crypto is going down in value. So if you have it, you can put, if you have any cash that you want to put into anything, you put it into artwork right now. Because it's an appreciating asset, and it's the most unregulated market that there is. It's only going up from here. So if I could make any point right now, if you have any cash, buy some damn artwork.
Thank you. So I'd like to give a quick round of applause to everyone on the panel. Thank you. And we're open to have maybe one or two general questions if anyone has one. Otherwise, people will be circulating and you can find any of the individual panelists in the room. So if anyone has any burning questions, now is your time. Otherwise, we will disband. Okay. Sure. Yes.
Art, that's okay. I have a voice. I hope you guys can hear me. But how's the VC community reacting to all this? I guess I don't think those projects are very costly in itself. It's more, I guess, the innovation and the ability to create the community and the more the artist and the technology as well. But are any of those projects funded, and where is New York, San where are the VCs? And because at the end of the day, these guys can decide on the fate of sometimes a technology or a project or
Well, funding is always hard, but we recently got funding from VC from Consensus Ventures, which is their VC arm. It's a great strategic partnership because they're consensus, and it gives us value beyond the investment. But there is some interest, like even some traditional VC firms are starting to be very curious about it, and there's always someone in a traditional VC firm that is pushing for blockchain. We have talked to people like that. There's angel investors that are interested. So it's a matter also of some people see the technology as the Web 3.0, and it's what's going to happen, and now it's too early, but they're getting in now. And others need a little bit more coaxing. But Fanny and I were just at this huge blockchain conference in Cleveland, and it was very corporate, and you had big brands, and each big company in America has now like a little chapter dedicated to figuring blockchain out. So it will happen, hopefully soon.
I think people are, I mean, the crash of the cryptocurrencies and the fact that all the ICOs were a lot of them were very scammy, and a lot of people wanted to make a quick buck and come out, really made some space for the more long-term projects, for people to build real world use cases, and utility tokens where there's a real world application, and that actually brought a lot of attention to we call the NFT projects, which is non-fungible tokens, which are these unique tokens we mentioned that are all most of the time used for real world application. And I think actually it's a good thing, and there's a lot of people interested. So
I'd also add, and Vlad knows more too, I do think that VCs are actually a critical piece of the puzzle here, in the sense that, okay, so we have, again, these nascent both technologies, currencies, ways of funding. And so, again, if we're creating real business value, we can start in the traditional sense to actually build that and bridge that gap into the more, again, sort of new paradigm shifts that we're seeing. So ultimately, if you want to call it bootstrapping, if you want to call it giving you $50 million, whatever it is, either way, I do think that VCs actually are critically important to building the future. Also, large tech companies, because they have that, financial ability to resource R&D projects. So either way, I do think traditional funding sources are quite critical to get us sort of to the next stage. Very much so.
I mean, I'm biased. We took exclusively VC money, so. But no, you're right. I actually don't think the utility token thing, I don't think that a company should get funded by God knows who and then give those people no rights whatsoever as investors. I mean, VCs have, I think if you can't fund a project with traditional means, that doesn't mean funding it with tokens is necessarily a good idea. Traditional means, I think what VCs are interested in is they have long time horizons, consensus, for example, you guys raised from them. I mean, they'll let you fail. They'll let you fail in year 2, 3, or 4 because they got in because they think you'll succeed in year 6, 7, 8.
And that's what you expect from an investor, not that they let you fail, but that they give you the leeway, the runway to experiment and fail fast, as they say, and to find the model that is going to work. But yeah, it's beyond the money, it's the system and the belief in the team and all of that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Cocktail time. Thank you. Thanks again.